Mike,
It's fucking ridiculous.
Mike, let me try to repeat back to you what I just heard you say. And I think, the first part is that you're saying that this app is A, the same speakers, and B, we're listening to the same conversation over and over and over again. It's the same conversation, slightly tweaked each time, updated with a new news event. So that's the first part. Then the second part is you're saying that you can sympathize and rationalize what the Palestinians did on October 7th. But I mean, I don't want to go back to the first part of what I think you said about what people are repeatedly saying. So my point is that in 2024, sometimes you are the bug and sometimes you are the windshield. And unfortunately, the people who did the incursions on October 7th found out later on that they weren't the windshield. They were the bug. And so...
So here's the thing, right? So if you take it that the Israelis have the upper hand, they are more intelligent, they are more civilized, it is incumbent on them to establish the plan for the region that is harmonious. Well, if you don't, so if you don't take it, one second, sir. You gotta let me go, bro. If you're not under the belief that the bigger person is more responsible than the lesser person, then you're gonna operate under the belief that it's equal, right? Or you're gonna say it's incumbent upon the lesser person to dictate the environment for the greater person. So either of those instances are gonna be the way you view the world. Now I know, and you know, that I know, and you know, that it is incumbent upon the greater entity to establish what is happening in that region, especially if you're sharing the same country where you're literally in the governmental power, right? So, since it's the case that you've taken on the role of government and leadership, you are most definitely, definitionally, legally, normally, morally, practically responsible for that environment. And since it's the case that you haven't, in all of your intellect and all your superiority, devised a plan that would allow you to have peace in that region, I just take it you don't want peace, or you're incapable of fucking figuring out what's necessary. In which case, you're still you're in a bad position, right? So you can cry all you want about the Palestinians. It's still your country, and you've still been derelict in your duties. Thank you. Have a nice day.
You're just like me. Only smaller. Not quicker. Your lordship's going to miss you.
So, we don't have a duty. It literally comes down to the one-state, two-state solution argument. You're arguing that if Israel can't achieve a one-state solution, then it is Israel's fault for not having a one-state solution.
I didn't say anything about one state. I said establishing the environment that is harmonious for all people. Yeah, so just clean up your response. Just clean up your response. And don't say things I didn't say. Bro, you're going to calm your bitch ass down, bro. We're going to have a civilized conversation. You know why? Because I'm the fucking government, right? And as a government fucking member, I'm going to say, just chill the fuck out. Bitch ass name. Go ahead.
What you described is a one-state solution.
No, I didn't. You fucking weirdo. All right, define one-state solution.
A one-state solution is where Israel, probably, it would be Israel, not Palestine, would be responsible for the living conditions and the government control of both Israelis and Palestinians together. And I would argue that your argument that you just presented is that if Israel cannot effectively find a way to manage the Palestinians in a one-state solution, that it's their fault. The alternative is a two-state solution, which the Palestinians act like they want, but when they were given 6 opportunities in the past to have it, they couldn't effectively do it themselves. They couldn't govern themselves when they have freedom. So you are arguing that their freedom should be taken away and Israel should be successful in making them happy in the process. Or it's Israel's fault. That's a ridiculous, stupid argument. The argument could be that Palestine should prove, that Gaza should be able to prove that they can manage themselves. But apparently, when they're given that They like to go across the border and murder people, innocent people, for no fucking reason, just to stir shit up. So Israel's fault October 7th happened, unless you want to argue that they had some kind of like a way of seeing it coming through intel and they didn't act or something. That, yes, you could argue that if they didn't act, that's an argument there. But my point is this: what you're arguing again is that if Israel can't successfully maintain a one-state solution and keep the Palestinians happy in the process, that it's Israel's fault. That's simply not true, because that has been tried, and so has a two-state solution where the Palestinians were given their own place and they couldn't manage it themselves. So what do you do if you're a neighbor of somebody who is in charge of themselves but leaves trash in their fucking yard, stacked 7 feet high, and fires guns randomly into the fucking air on a regular basis?
Mike, welcome to the system of laws. I mean, have you ever had legal problems personally? I'm going through legal problems now, right now. I mean, welcome to the world of compliance.
How the fuck that's your problem? If that guy's your neighbor and you can't seem to clean his fucking yard.
But Mike, the maxim is love thy neighbor as you would love yourself.
Shooting his weapon into the air. You can't stop him, Concrete. It's your fault. It's your fault. You can't just take your fence down and live next to your neighbor and make sure he's happy with you being there.
Okay, Mike. So I mean,
because you don't have garbage, because you have more income.
Mike, then let me just propose this for like a universal theory with regards to Clubhouse, the conflict in Palestine, Israel, the conflict in fucking your underpants. I mean, how are you using this app to make your life actually materially and psychologically or emotionally better? If you don't use this app for that purpose and that purpose alone, I don't really see the point of utilizing this app. I am trying to use this app to make money. I am recording people and using their content to monetize. I suggest that everybody on this app form a union and monetize the conversation. Because otherwise, you are the one calling the pot kettle black or whatever. You're the one having the same conversation. You're the one repeating yourself. You're the one that can't break free of your pattern.
I didn't say I'm not part of the process. I've been on that for 3 years. I'm all part of the process. I'm just saying I see it. I can see it from outside perspective, and I can engage in it voluntarily on the inside. I'm not denying that, dude. I'm not saying I'm not part of this. I'm every part of it. I'm just part of it. You're just as much of a part of it. You can record and sell all you fucking want. You're also part of it. Everybody's part of it. But what I do know is that I do understand both sides of the Israeli perspective easily. And I also know who seems to be the ones that are fuck-all weirdos who can't get their shit straight, and the ones that are just aggressive and pissed off that they're fighting back. I mean, I see both of them. Both of them are like that. Both of them are pissed off and fighting back. Both of them feel like history's on their side, and neither one of them want a solution. Period. It's pretty fucking obvious. So why would I sit here and argue that one's better than the other? I can just argue, presently speaking, it seems to be losing.
Well,
if I was them, I'd back the fuck off. But
yeah, I know, but obviously the people having these debates on this app will not influence whatever the destiny is of that conflict. They just may think it does in their fucking mind's eye because they're talking about it on this app. But they don't. If you don't live there, if you don't live there, if you don't,
this is like reality TV, dude.
I get it.
When I watch reality TV, I'm not trying to.
I get it, Mike, but the problem is people aren't in control of their thoughts. They're not in control of their bodies. They're not in control of their emotions. They are not in control of anything. And this app is a succubus parasite hypnosis app full of toxic people getting free talk therapy. That's all it is.
You always say things that are completely obviously true, and then I just want to say, See, I look at this app as reality television, 90 Day Fiancé. You may not watch 90 Day Fiancé. You may think people are stupider when they do. You might wonder why they do if they're not becoming more intelligent by doing so. But they still do.
I know, but how have you become more intelligent since using this app? I don't actually think.
I have certain people on here that we don't talk about this shit. I have people in here that I know personally, both in real life and that I've met on here, that we've done jobs together, we've worked together, we've made money together, all that stuff. I have people in here over the 3 years, for sure. A couple of them. So I've stumbled upon people that were worth taking into my real world and doing something nobody in my real life fights about shit like people fight about shit on Clubhouse. And in that way, I can get to the nitty-gritty and the down and dirty of the reality of their biases and their prejudices, all the things they won't say among company, person to person, human to human. They'll do it on here. And that opens up. It makes what people really think and feel a little more transparent, which adds clarity. If you're interested in understanding somebody and not just hating them because they disagree, if you're interested in understanding why somebody feels the way they do, you might understand it better here than in Atlanta, Georgia, where Southern culture dictates that you act polite and just talk shit behind people's back. I don't have to deal with that shit.
Yeah, but what's the point of even talking shit about somebody behind their back versus just telling somebody how you really feel about them?
Because nobody in real life does that, because you don't have the fucking balls to do it.
People in real life tell people really how they're feeling. What are you talking about? Some people live their lives very transparently. That's the whole meaning of Christ, which is clarity.
I'm not arguing that it's okay the way that Southern culture treats that issue versus New York. I like New Yorkers personally because they're more direct. I don't live in a state that has a culture that's like that. So
if you stick around Atlanta, North Georgia long enough, it'll become just like New York. It's right there.
No, it's never, not even fucking close. The people in the South are so full of shit compared to people in New York. People in New York will tell you to your fucking face fuck off. A Southerner might stick a gun in your face, but that doesn't mean he's brave or honest. That just means that he's afraid. Two different things. I also lived in Seattle.
Southerners sticking guns in my face since I got here.
I said they'll more likely do that to you than somebody in New York. And I lived in Seattle for half my life, and they're a complete fucking retarded in a whole other way.
Working with a bunch of New Yorkers, I can say they do plenty of underhanded schoolyard shit behind your back too.
That's fine, they do, and they'll do it to your face, which I respect. A lot. I respect New Yorkers all day long, more than most places in the United States.
I respect it if they would do it to my face.
I also respect them because they mesh. They're really not that racist compared to other places in the United States because they're all slammed together and they're all so fucking different. They don't have a choice. They don't have the privilege of acting like white people are somehow fucking superior when everybody around them looks different than themselves. That's the general. That's my understanding of like the reason that Seattle is racist toward black people, but it's not racist toward Asians. But then I moved to Georgia, and then there's less racism toward black people, but there's more racism toward Asians here. Like that's why it's about when you smash together equal ratios with people, racism seems to go diminish. It seems to increase when you have larger variances of percentages of population.
Aside from the Pacific Northwest, there seems to be the most Asians or Koreans, especially in Georgia and anywhere else.
Not even close. I mean, San Francisco, the whole West Coast is heavily Asian dominated. Georgia's not that many Asian. We're talking about East Indians or Asians or like Oriental Asians.
No, like Oriental Asians, especially in Gwinnett.
Like Gwinnett, we got Chinatown. That's the thing. I'm married to a Chinese American woman born and raised in Indiana, but she's full Chinese. And her parents go to Chinatown and Gwinnett all the time. Gwinnett is where they live. I mean, they group in certain groupings. But as a whole, the South, I mean, my wife regularly hears me ask her where she's wrong here. That's not something that you get in other states. That's what they do. You get it in the Midwest, you get it in the South. You don't get it on the West Coast, you don't get it in New York. Where are you from?
That's just a lack of intellectual curiosity on their part.
And it's a lack of exposure. Because if you're around, if you're in Seattle, you don't ask people where they're from. If you're in Georgia and they're an anomaly, if they're unique, if you don't see them very often, then you say stupid shit about them. The same reason that black people, the same reason that people in Seattle are infinitely more racist than black people than people here. Way worse. Way worse. White people use the N-word in Seattle on a regular basis. In Georgia, nobody uses that word. Black people use it on each other. But white people don't use it against black people. Not in Atlanta, anyway.
You take a little drive up to Forsyth County and see how that is.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that fucking shit.
shithole.
Anywhere in Georgia State outside of the general Atlanta area is redneck, racist, white.
What's the median income of Forsyth County, Georgia?
Forsyth? I don't know. Forsyth.
It's like $135,000 a year.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean rednecks can't have money. Is that what you're arguing?
Rednecks could have money, but when I'm arguing that the growth of like Milton and Forsyth County has been extremely cosmopolitan and extremely wealthy.
It's becoming more quote unquote cosmopolitan, but it's not even. It's still Georgia. I think you and I both know. You drive from Atlanta to Savannah. You stop gas in the middle. It's more racist than it is in the suburbs of Atlanta. I think you and I both know that. And if you go north, same fucking thing. In the Blue Ridge Mountains, if you head towards like Jasper, you're gonna find white people that are more racist than in downtown Atlanta. 100%.
Yeah, but there's a lot north of the city that's just not like that. You got Marietta, Alpharetta.
Those are burbs of Atlanta. Those are all. I want those in the greater Atlanta area.
Yeah, and so what's happened is Cherokee County and Forsyth County have just become more of the suburbs.
They are. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I agree with you on that. The cosmopolitan, what you're calling cosmopolitan, I would call like meshing of cultures in a healthy way, without less prejudice involved. I would say that extends out from the city every year a little more, because more people can't afford to live closest to the city, so then they be moving to like Woodstock instead of Marietta. Like maybe Smyrna was like that at one point, right? It was racist maybe 60 years ago. And then Marietta was next, Woodstock was next, and now we keep going further. Now we're going north, we get into Cumming. Cumming is a good example. Cumming is some places a black person I wouldn't have wanted to visit 20 years ago, but it seems to be plenty fucking safe now.
Yeah, that's the capital of Forsyth County.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Forsyth County is transitioning 100% for sure. 100%, yeah, it's not what it was. I've been here 22 years. I was shooting weddings at Reed Barn in Cumming, Georgia, and Brian Tam was the county commissioner. He was a good old white boy, redneck, racist asshole. Like that guy, that world that I remember back then is not the same when I go to Cumming.
Yeah, they got fucking IPA bars and vape shops now.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, dude. 100%. Yeah. Cumming is what Marietta or what Woodstock was 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, and Canton is next.
Yeah.
And so is Cartersville.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that million greater Atlanta area of reasonable culture mingling. I think it's going to keep getting wider and wider 100%.
Yeah, now the other thing is DeKalb County's not getting any wider. But Atlanta itself, Atlanta is getting less black. They drop below 50%.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's racist. It's racist when white people leave, and it's racist when white people show up.
Think about that.
Gentrification and white flight.
I think racism is most prevalent where there's a wider discrepancy of population types. So, like growing up in Seattle, we had 4% black people. I know what all my white friends and family, how they spoke about black people growing up. And even today, actually, how they still do when I visit, which is not very often. But that's because there's 4% black people. So they just don't know any fucking better. And my wife grew up in Indiana, full Chinese, one of the only people Chinese in Lafayette, Indiana growing up, and she had a miserable existence. It was racism from hell. Like when I married her when I was in the Marine Corps at 24 years old, I personally heard people say extremely racist things about her in public in Indiana. So, and again, why? Because there was only like a few Asian people there back then. So, but black people, there's more like a 40%, 35% black people in Indiana.
Why was she there? Her parents wanted her to go to Purdue?
Yeah, that's exactly Yeah. They moved from China and pig produced, so she become an engineer, which she didn't do, but her brothers are both engineers. Isn't that funny? Because it's true. Like that stereotype about Asians prioritize education so much. Yeah, they literally came to California from Brazil.
Oh, we have to let this Asian in. She's a local girl. She grew up here. She went to the local high school.
No, they moved to Brazil when they were teenagers from China. But then from Brazil, they came to the United States through California, and then they immediately picked Indiana and Purdue because of Purdue University and race.
But what were you Marine? Isn't there a big old Air Force base up north of
I was stationed in
Indianapolis?
Fort Ben Harrison, which was an Army base in the Marines. I was stationed there for all my training and stuff.
Man, fuck the ops, nigga. Shut up, nigga. Fuck your
When
dad,
I was
nigga.
in Fort Ben Harrison.
Like, fuck your dad, nigga.
So
Fuck all the ops, nigga.
you're bringing a lot of value to the room.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I was at Fort Ben Harrison, which is since shut down, but I was there. That's why I was there.
Put in the chat who your ops are, and we'll consider letting you up based on our biases.
Mike, that guy follow you in every way.
That guy follows me? No, he doesn't.
He
I've never
follows
seen him
somebody.
before.
What, man? How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's crazy because I heard you two gentlemen say that Atlanta is becoming more whiter than it is becoming blacker. Can you explain the reason?
I think not all areas though. Like Southwest Atlanta is not becoming whiter, but like the burbs, I would say like Marietta, Smyrna, Woodstock. I feel like it's not getting blacker.
Don't worry, Bankhead is safe from gentrification for a while.
Yeah, it's because of gentrification, librarian. Because it's an easy answer.
Atlanta dropped below 50% black like 40 years.
The reason it's getting whiter is that honestly, because they're cleaning up the neglect of the actual infrastructure, and in doing so, gentrification occurs, and then the wealth discrepancy between the populations becomes more apparent as you see who moves where and who's moved out of places where. Right, librarian? So as Atlanta tries to quote unquote clean up through gentrification, the incomes raise, or the income requirement increases, and you start seeing the wealth discrepancy of the two populations, and then you start seeing displacement of people.
Everybody I've met in Atlanta said it there. So I don't know how gentrification could be taking place amongst a bunch of rich folks. I'm going.
What?
You know, everybody in Atlanta is rich, far as I've heard.
Oh no, that's not true.
Who the fuck said that?
That's not true. Atlanta has more rich black people than pretty much any other city in America, for sure.
Atlanta has one of the lowest upward mobilities of any city in America also.
Yeah, huge discrepancy between have and have nots here. Yeah, and only getting worse.
Yeah, you go take a stroll down Ponce, heading towards the city. There's not a lot of urban individuals running around. The $1.5 million Emory Professor homes.
Right. It's like my answer to gentrification. I think the easy example, Manville, is also the West Side. Think about what the West Side was 15 years ago. Look at it now. It's crazy, you know what I mean?
Like Douglasville?
No, West Side Atlanta, like Powell Mill area. That whole side of the West Side where Bacanez is and all that in the city part. It's like a whole section of the city that was just run down urban blight.
Hey, Oscar, what you did to that miserable bitch?
And now it's like crate and barrel.
Well, she dropped you behind that, gang.
Yeah.
What you did to her, Oscar?
And like what I saw,
It's kind of close for these luxury townhome communities next to a busy fucking rail yard.
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, where they take like old like butcher houses, what used to be like giant like brick butcher buildings, and they turn them
I'd say I think one of Atlanta's biggest problems, though, is that it's a terrible driving city.
Oh, it is.
It does not work, and that's been one of Miami's like best unadvertised features for people looking for alternatives to New York or like a different type of city vibe. Miami has like the highest of partying and going out and doing stuff throughout the city, but you're able to actually move around in a car to do it.
Yeah, but Miami, I would never want to live in Miami. It's too fucking hot. Like, it's past the point of comfortable for me, period. It's just too hot. I just hate it. When I'm in Miami, I feel like there's body parts rubbing on body parts that I didn't even know.
I was down in South Beach last November, and it's fucking, it's great, but I gotta say, the night scene on South Beach on that South Ocean Boulevard Drive, it was ghetto as fuck. I mean,
well, you gotta go south of Fifth.
You gotta love your ghetto shit, though. Ghetto shit.
it was okay, but the people that went there to certain nightclubs, it was definitely like, I don't know if they're from the area or they're just for vacation, but
no, they're not. They're from fucking Atlanta.
Yeah, but
I feel like Miami actually has a night. Miami, when it comes to nightlife, Miami actually has one.
that one bar called Mangoes. Have you ever heard of Mangoes?
Mangoes, yeah.
That bar is legit. That is like legit. And then there's these other little restaurants up and down the street with big patios, and they have like these. I would call them trans, but they're really not trans. They're just like really ugly, huge, fake-titted women with tons of makeup on, and they do these big songs and dances while
you talking about Barramoos?
It's called Barramoos.
Barramoos, yeah. They what's the name? Mary something. It's a training thing, and they sing and all the above, and you get a nice burger and shit.
Huh. Anyways, it's a nice place to vacation because it really is a real beach town, and it's fucking unbelievably huge, and the beach is legit. Like, I used, I don't know, Hotel Tonight to book the room. Yeah, it was dope.
I used to have a Toyota Scion XD, that boxy little thing. When it came out, I bought one right when it first came out, and I tricked out. I put lights on the ground and slammed it and all this shit to it. And so Toyota, I took it in to get it worked on one time at the dealership, and they asked me if I wanted to be sponsored by them. And I was like, oh yeah. So they sponsored me, so they used to pay me to like drive it around places to car shows and shit. And when it was all wrapped up, when they went to a new body style, they went to the newer one, which wasn't nearly as interesting. They had like a send-off party for all of us, and they sent us to Miami, all expenses paid, for like a week of partying. And they had Dwight from The Office was our like MC dude that hung out with us. There was like 120 of us. Like 120 of us. So we spent like 2 days with Dwight. And then they had Ludacris at the going away party. I'm talking 130 people with Dwight and Ludacris hanging out in the room with us. And just a bunch. It was killer. They gave us cash on the bed when we arrived, and they put me in. I remember what hotel it was. It was a really nice hotel, and what's his name? Who's the guy who got his ear bit by Mike Tyson?
Evander Holyfield.
Yeah, Holyfield was checked into the hotel right next to me, like standing next to me, checking in at the same time. Like, it was swanky, dude. They hooked us the fuck up. They even sent us luggage, like custom luggage beforehand.
Did you take photos of the vehicle and the events and all that stuff?
Well, they made us turn on our cameras and shit because the new vehicle, they had it like on a turntable with a big blanket over it. And they had two different rooms. So one room had the car in it, and the other room had the stage where Ludacris was there and Dwight was hanging out and stuff. And so they made us turn our cameras in and stuff, so we couldn't have any. But when the car was revealed, everybody went to the other room to look at it, to see it. And at the time, I just didn't care that much. I figured I'd go there when everybody's not crowded around it. And Dwight was sitting, Rainn Wilson, he was sitting at a table all by himself. Nobody fucking there, dude. And I went up to him, it was a high top, and I was like, hey, Rainn? He's like, yeah, I'm Mike. He's like, hey, man. Dude, I said, get your drink? Sure. So we drank a beer and talked for like 45 minutes, just the two of us. Nobody even bothered us. It was fucking crazy.
I think he's from Chicago. Like, he's part of the Baha'i faith in Evanston. Pretty sure that's him.
Oh, really? Yeah, we talked about his family and his kids. And I talked a lot about 6 Feet Under because that was my favorite show back then, and he was in it. And we talked about that. I I didn't talk about The Office at all. I actually kind of felt like I didn't want to go there with them because I figured that's probably all people ever talk about.
What a moneymaker. I mean, that show, wow, that show made a lot of money.
It did. He's a very normal dude. I really liked him. I asked him to take a pic. They were taking pictures, so we couldn't have cameras. But on the other side where the car was, people were taking pictures. There was a photo booth there, and I asked him if he would go to the photo booth with me, and he said they told him he couldn't go in the other room. He had to stay in that room. It was weird. It was a weird trip. I mean, because I don't know. It was weird because there was only 100 and something of us, and they gave us a lot of like.
Well, it's pretty cool because it's like part of a car launch, and you got to think they're, Toyota. If you look them up on the market, they trade as like an ASMR or not an ASMR, whatever. It's a fucking foreign exchange certificate. You can't actually buy Toyota stock on the NYSE or the Nasdaq. So.
Oh, that makes sense. So they were using us. Obviously, we were marketers anyway for them.
No, I'm saying there's Toyota of America, but all I'm trying to say is that when you launch a new car, like the whole marketing campaign and team behind the launch of that new vehicle like that, you were part of their, media buying and their experiential advertising. Yeah, marketing, that's the one thing, the advertising industry, and it's a fucking huge business, is that if you've never worked in the advertising industry, you're not really aware of how much money is being spent on the airwaves. And, it's a weightless purchase. And so it really deals with you're buying communication or media, and you're trying to influence and inform and put information into people's subconscious to influence their purchasing decisions and their brand loyalty. So it's
that was my first career. I had 18 years at Home Depot corporate in advertising.
Yeah.
I used to work directly for the vice president of advertising, and I had a $3 million photography budget just for the ads.
Wow.
I was a creative manager, so I was responsible for the ads that came out in the flyers for the stuff that was being sold every week. And I had a $3 million annual photography budget to use a studio called Ambrosi here in Atlanta to shoot pictures for the flooring catalog, just the floor store in Dallas, Texas, and a couple other catalogs.
What one of your favorite stories of mine is when you were photographing at the wedding and you said, "No, I want to eat now. I've got to eat now." And
they blacklisted me for a year. My business partner, one of the reasons he ended up fucking me over in the end is because he was so mad that for a year we didn't have any more business with them. He's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with them? They should know that if they make me wait till the last guest gets food, that the next thing's gonna happen is I'm gonna go stand in line, I'm gonna go to get my food, and then someone's gonna come tap me and go, okay, we're ready for the speeches now or whatever." I'm like, you need to feed me when the brides get fed. And they were like, "That's not how we do it." And I was like, "Well, I need to talk to your manager." And then that was a big deal. I lost that venue. That in retrospect, that was really fucked up for me because we used to do over 90 weddings a year with that venue.
Holy shit!
And they cut us out. They cut us out for 12 months because of it. They brought us back.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a big deal. We lost. That's why my business partner was so pissed off, because he wasn't a photographer. He was just like a business guy, and he was so fucking mad at me. I mean, I was doing all the work. I'm doing all the training. It was all me.
But that's fucked up that he was leeching off of you while you're doing the work. What the fuck?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, you know the story now, right? I mean, I told you, he trademarked my fucking name. In Atlanta, he still has a business with my name on it. And I don't do it. Dude, that was like.
Why don't you just prank call him? Why don't you just prank call him like once a day and like change your voice up and just be like, "Hi." Just if it's your fucking, the name is in your business, just like torture this guy until he decides. Leave him bad Google review. Yeah, if you want, send me the.
Well, I've always been worried to do that kind of shit because I went on and did my own business again, and I figured he'd just reciprocate.
Well, you could leave comments on his Google My Business page saying, "You stole my name. This is not the name of your business. This is my legal name. You have copyrighted my identity. Do not work with this." If you really dislike him that much, then he might change the name.
After all these years, I think he would never Never. He wouldn't even do it.
Well, if the point is, people are so sensitive to their Google reviews, and a lot of businesses cannot survive with bad Google reviews. They just can't. They have to have them removed.
I honestly think he's such a piece of shit, though. It's a good point because I'd happily do that. I feel like what he would do is he would go leave like reviews that weren't legit.
He'll counter review you.
Fuck me over. Like I gotta worry about my reviews too, dude. That's the problem.
Listen, I know this chick who's a realtor in Seattle, and she said something really insensitive to some Asian people. She got into an argument and said, what are you going to do? Eat my dog or something? This was like they got into an argument on the street. So they found out who she was and started leaving her negative reviews on all her real estate business pages. And it was, it destroyed her because they were making claims that she's racist and do not work.
It's legit. It'll legit fuck up your business. I had, back when COVID happened, I was on this app talking about how I didn't wear a mask when I shoot weddings because, like, if they make me, then I would, but otherwise I didn't want to, and how masks are stupid. And I got a bad review. It was on my old business, thank God. It wasn't what I have now. But I got a bad review off of some person that heard me on Clubhouse that said, this photographer is awful. They're on social media talking about how they don't wear a mask and they risk the lives of the people that they work with and a bunch of stupid shit. Yeah, that's where when Clubhouse ended up affecting my real life.
Well, we've got Hampton Spears in the room. I just left him some fresh comments on his YouTube channel. And I just want to play a clip from Tinka Pimp Slaps Summer. This is Jella versus Big Lex, Scotty versus Emma. This is Hampton Spears, Baddies. But first, an ad. We're going to click it. Oh, Hampton, we just made you $1.50, bro. And we got a Black Friday deal sale out of it. Okay, this is Hampton Spears. He's a genius.
So episode 5 begins with Natalie telling the newbies that they will be staying at the house and that the OGs will be staying elsewhere, probably at 5-star hotels, darling. However, Tinkerbella, Diamond, and Biggie will be staying at the house as well, just to keep tabs on these new hoes. Now, Diamond and Biggie are...
Hampton is becoming the celebrity by doing celebrity gossip analysis.
Acting like, oh my God, why do I have to stay? Listen, y'all are not OGs. Like, I consider the OGs like the people that were on Baddies South. And technically, that's not even the OGs because there was Baddies ATL. But I will give them a pass and say Baddies South.
Miss Clark, we can start.
Get you some water.
Take you a breather. The deep breath. Every day after your bath. Where my sausage? Where was my sausage from water?
Ooh, I'm thirsty too.
You are really Derulo.
Just let me spill out over the airway. Whoa. Oh, shit.
I heard it too.
I just spit out my water every fucking way.
You actually laugh like a waste, bro. That's crazy.
Oh, shoot.
After that, you said you was getting your great grandmama ring.
Now let me stop.
Oh shit, I can't even do it, Lord. Your ass, no, you can't. Y'all cleared the fucking room, man. Oh shit, that was funny.
Yo, breaking news. The prosecutor in the Diddy case has resigned.
That shit was so funny.
You kicked me. That was a good session. All right, hope you enjoyed.
Came up on my Facebook, right? And I don't know why. And my question is, I'm not sure if he is, but I thought I heard that he was a Scientologist person. So when you're a Scientology, person, do you automatically, you don't live with your kids, you put them in those Scientology churches?
Okay, all right, I'm kind of an expert on this. No, they can grow up in their home. They can. Let me clarify something. Within Scientology is a group called the Sea Org, and those are the people who signed the billion-year contract, and they volunteer. They're working for free. But if you are those people are more likely to send their kids to Scientology schools, or frankly, the kids start working for Scientology too. That happens. But if you're a regular member of Scientology, and I don't mean Tom Cruise, but if you're a regular member, your kids don't have to go to somewhere else.
Well, and GC's kids don't go.
Yeah, but
because he has 2 daughters. If you have a son, yeah, probably. I don't know. They're weird.
The
It's a
Sea
weird
Org,
religion.
aren't they the elites? Like they're considered better. So then that would make it's almost like how rich people send their kids to private school.
No, the Sea Org is not necessarily the elite. They may want to feel like that. Listen, Scientology thrives off of donations from regular members. The people in the Sea Org are not getting a salary. They're like bunking. They're living on a compound or living in an apartment. They're basically working for free. In fact, that's one of the claims that the government tried to investigate. Is it slave? Is it some kind of you're not being paid minimum wage, etc.? No. So the Sea Org is really analogous to the clergy.
Okay.
Meaning,
the Sea Org they lived on a boat though, right? Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, so they worked on the boat.
They had their babies there. It was their awful. So I can understand why that's like an elite class. They're not on a
Hubbard
boat
himself
anymore.
lived on a boat.
Right.
Hubbard lived on a boat for many years, and the people who worked on the boat were the Sea Org. But then he would land in Australia or wherever he would land, and he'd go to England. His rich followers who over 10%, whatever who are buying all the programs. And those are elite members too. You don't have to be in the Sea. The Sea Org is really analogous to a clergy. That's what I keep saying.
Yes, they are.
It doesn't Tom Cruise always send his kids off to that boarding school church?
Listen, he may, but he's certainly not required to.
Sarah, yes, it is like a cult, and you raise your young men. They recruit, and then people feed into it, and then they bring their sons over. The women pretty much have nothing to do with it. Yeah.
I know a woman who got recruited into it. And she basically was so brainwashed that if her mother ever tries to tell her, come home, you can do them, she goes and tells on herself. And then they'll say, well, you can't see your mother now. Your mother's not good. So she's so far gone. She actually got recruited. How they got recruited, I don't know. But they really got church. I don't think they're coming back.
It doesn't mean that they're members of the Sea Org. They go to church and they can live anyway. Scientology makes their money selling books, selling courses. They want you to buy books, even if you already have the books, buy them so you can give them to other people. We want you to pre-book, sell it for $50,000 for the course.
Yeah, because John Travolta let his son die because Scientology. I feel like he should have been arrested for murder because his son had an untreatable illness and disease, and because of the church, they rejected all treatment. And I feel like that's the most fucked up part about it all. Like, oh, I just want some tiger beans.
Look at Tom and said, fuck you, I'm taking the kids, and we're out of here. I was probably on the back that happened to. Yes, into that nonsense. Nicole took the kids.
No, I think Tom kept the kids.
I thought she got the kids. I think she got the kids.
We can have to look it up. certainly his second wife, or his third wife, Katie Holmes, she definitely, completely separated Syria from Congress. We know for sure. I think too.
You want me to text him? I'll find out if
Yeah, what they do is they have a process called auditing, which is analogous to therapy. They ask you a bunch of questions, you have to reveal your deepest, darkest secrets, and guess what? It's all on tape. And so now they have leverage on you. And yeah, if you want to leave, I'm sure that Tom Cruise, and he may be a true believer, but some people, they just have you saying terrible things on tape from the auditing sessions, and they'll use this leverage against you.
Yeah, I think Tom's just like pure money, so they treat him like, a prophet or something like that.
They treat him like
Do you get the sense that when Tom Cruise dies, he's going to leave his money to the church?
a lot of it. I'm sure they're working, they've already worked that all out. Yeah. I mean,
That's why regardless of anything, he's always just high level. You never hear of Tom Cruise and Scientology having a fight. Ever.
Well, no. Well, didn't he have to divorce his wife or something because of them?
But listen, he's a true believer. He's a true believer. So when he was looking for his third wife, they held all the auditions for him. You know that, right? Like he's not out there dating. He's not on apps. He's not like getting set up. They auditioned. Scientology ran it. They ran the program. First, they tried to introduce you to Penelope Cruz, if I'm not mistaken. And then they found there's an article about a woman, a Scientology woman, who she actually spent time with Tom Cruise. She lived with him, and then finally, the head of Scientology and his wife said, it's not working out. Like, he doesn't even break up with the woman. Scientology broke up with her for him, and then they, right, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Penelope Cruz is 3 feet tall. She's the size of an umbrella.
How did he get recruited into it? Does anybody know?
Yes, his first wife, Mimi Rogers, was already in it, and her family, like they're second or third generation. Her father is a former Scientologist.
Why did he want to eat the placenta or something after?
I don't know about that.
I don't know. Yeah, I heard about that. Like somebody in Scientology, their wife gives birth, and he said it's healthy to eat the placenta because it's protein.
That's an indigenous practice. Like that's happened for centuries, dude. That's nothing new. Like that's a
but like for Scientology, like what the heck?
It's much better. No, it's not what you said is a rumor. That's not. Some people do it, but it's not.
It's much better if you pickle it.
It's fucking here we go. I found something here. Scientologists and
Have you ever had placenta with Vegemite before, though?
It's based on a joke that Tom Cruise made, which some people take literally. It is an urban myth that Scientologists eat placenta.
What is the fertility rate of Scientologists? In other words, if you have a teenager that joins Scientology, how many grandchildren will they produce?
I don't think it's. I think it's normal compared to it's not like Orthodox or Hasidim who say let's have as many kids. It's not like that.
Hold
on. You would agree that someone that wants the maximum number of grandchildren should try to enroll their kids in Chabad?
Well, I mean, now we're really switching topics. If your choice is between Scientology and Chabad, me personally, I'll take Chabad. Listen to this. Here's a little thing. The Sea Org, the people in the Sea Org are not permitted to have children. And in fact, I remember reading a lot of them have abortions.
That's not true.
Okay. You think they're not? You think that they are permitted to have children?
Yeah, they're only allowed to marry other members of the Sea Org. They run a specific school for the children of the Sea Org.
Yeah, I was going to say they're the ones who have the schools and send their kids to schools, or have the church-based space, like kind of like communes, where they have multiple families in the same.
Yeah, they're allowed to raise their children until they turn 6, and at 6 they get sent off to the school to be raised communally.
L. Ron Hubbard wasn't a bad sci-fi writer. He should have stuck with it.
Jeffrey, I'm going to respond to that. I'm going to respond to that, Jeff. Number one, let's not forget that some people join the Sea Org after they have kids. But I have read, and I'm looking at it right now, In 1996, a policy was put in place that the members of Sea Org were not permitted to have children. Now, I guess it's been modified to say they're discouraged from having children, and Sea Org obligations take priority over personal family responsibilities. I definitely know that I've definitely read that women have been pressured to abort pregnancies. That's a real thing. I didn't imagine that. Members of Sea Org have been pressured
It's
to
such a weird religion. Like, what the
abortions. Yeah.
All religions seem weird when they get started. I mean, 100% of religions start as cults, and then after a couple hundred years, they're accepted as real religions.
Religions are started by con men and crazy men. One of the two.
Wow, I think we're really painting with a very big brush now.
I agree. Consider the religions you know about. Look, for example, Mormonism and Scientology, the more modern religions.
Judaism?
Well, Judaism is an ancient religion. I'm talking about the modern religions that we actually know facts about.
But Mormonism is a branch of Christianity, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, it's the Latter-day Saints.
Jesus Christ.
They believe in Jesus Christ. They have their own version of it. He's an American.
One of the second world.
Now I always have to say, are each bill separate from History of the World Part 1?
Well, I mean, all these wackadoodles came from the Southern Baptist, and nothing wrong with Southern Baptist, but they knew they took their men and their sons, and they go on these retreats, right? A couple times a year. And then they built off of that, of, okay, well, we're going to take our men and our sons, the boys, and take them out, and we're going to train them how to control the women. And that's pretty much where it started from.
Usually that's for Southern Baptism.
I can do that for free.
Raffy, you could, Raffy. Start your own.
I'm giving you guys free advice how to control women here on Clubhouse. You guys gonna pay for the shit?
I'm just gonna put acid in all the water supply and a slow drip, and then start, having looping meat.
Raffy, just sell some books and tell us to buy more of your books, and we will, and then we'll pass them out to people everywhere we go. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Scientology, they made a big commitment. They spend all their money on real estate. They buy, I forgot their word for temples. But they have real estate holdings around the world. And many of them are not even, they're not demand-based. Like they'll say, we want to build a center or whatever they call it in a physical area. Not because there's a demand for it, but they'll just do it and hope that it will, and hope that people will come to it. It's very odd. They don't have hospitals, they don't have other things. They mainly have these centers for these numbers. And of course they have a lot of compounds. Big compounds. Where the members
So they're into real estate, like the Catholic Church. Okay.
Yeah, but the Catholic Church also has hospitals.
This guy was a Mormon town of the world.
He has to have GPS track crossing. This means he is still being monitored closely.
My parents, the LDS Church is all together, and they're worth over $265 billion. They also have a huge investment portfolio worth over $56.8 billion because they don't separate their churches no matter which state or city they're in. They're one conglomerate, and they're the richest church in the United States.
There's evidence that Mormons have just better life outcomes than their host population. So in other words, if you're a normal Christian and your child joins the average Christian church, your child is going to take a little bit of caffeine, a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of nicotine. There's certain vices and habits, a little bit of gambling. There's certain vices and habits that most Christian churches allow that the Mormon church doesn't. So my understanding is, if you just send a couple of children to become Mormon, they will grow up to have fewer vices, they'll have more money and more children. It's just the Mormons appear to have much better life outcomes than the average Christian denomination, from my opinion.
I don't
large, but the ones where they allow polygamy, one man to marry several wives, they cast out the young men. You know, like when a young man turns 18, 21, whatever age is, they cast them. If you're not like leadership / one man for 3 or 4 wives material, they cast them out of the homes.
Well, I have watched several people on this app that have got scammed out by Scientology, and I've watched them lose their whole life. Like, not die, but relationships, the wives were like, no, what is happening? And that's what they did. They had them drain out their 401ks. They had them pull money out of their companies, ended up in jail because of it. I don't know. If you like Scientology, go for it. That's your jam. But I would say investigate.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
You know what's funny, Frank? Is that I say the exact same thing to investigate them. They've done things that if I told you what they've done, I'm not a fan. I just happen to have read a lot about them. But if I told you some of the things that they did, you would be amazed. I mean, they launched a program, and the government has been at war with Scientology for a long time. Especially, they declared they wanted tax-free status. They said we're a religion, and what they did is, first of all, they told their followers, hundreds, if not thousands of followers, to get jobs in different government agencies, and they copied all kinds of secret government documents. Ultimately, like 5 of the top people at some point in the 80s, I think it was early 80s, I'm not sure, they arrested the top 5 people because of this operation. That's just one thing. They also, what they do to journalists is very insidious. And there was a woman, I don't remember her name, but she investigated. She was writing articles about Scientology and investigating it. Are you ready for this? She's dating a guy. She's living with a guy. And after years